Today's new episode of the L Word Generation Q, episode 304, Last to Know, marks some significant changes in the L Word Generation Q universe. And the first of that being, this is the first episode where we are missing the two most popular lead characters, Bette and Gigi. We also don't have the two most popular ships by far, Bette and Tina and Dani and Gigi. I don't think that Showtime or Generation Q are quite aware of how much this is going to impact the show. This episode also marked the return of an OG character, and it marked the first time we've ever seen any sort of holiday or anything in the L Word, as this episode took place on Halloween night. Now, I don't want to sit here and be fake and say, oh, I love the episode, because the truth is, I didn't. I like some things about it, sure, and I'm going to talk about those, but I'm also going to talk about the issues that I had with this episode. And I hate doing that. I hate talking about things about this show that I don't like, but the whole point of this channel is you get my honest opinion. I'm not sponsored by Showtime. I don't have any stake in this game. There's no one else here. I'm literally just in my spare room talking to a camera, and I don't even read what anybody else says on Twitter or anything, because I want my review video to be my clean opinion. I don't want it to be impacted by what other people are saying. I'm gonna go through each of the characters. That's how I normally break the episodes down when there isn't some huge stuff happening. So I'll go through each character. I'll timestamp it down below in case you want to skip over some stuff, but let's get right into it. I'm going to start out with the Max stuff because I actually really liked the fact that they brought Max back. I thought it made sense. I liked the little scene that Max had with Shane, and I actually think it was warranted, and I really commend the show for doing this, because there was a lot of stuff that happened in the original show and the treatment of Max and everything, and I think that more shows should take a leaf out of the L Word's book and say, listen, like, we know this is problematic, we want to apologize. And they didn't make some big song and dance out of it. It was a really small scene, and the rest of the episode that Max was in really didn't, they didn't talk about it that much. If anything, I would have wanted a little bit more, like a bit more of a conversation, making a few little references, because Generation Q could be at its best if it just lent into the original and poked fun at it a bit, because I feel like they have this insecurity around the original show. So I would have loved like a little reference, maybe even about like, if Max was like, oh, where's Bette and Alice or something, and saying about, oh, Bette and Tina are doing their thing that they're always doing. Or even I would have liked a mention of Jenny. But again, I think here the kind of real world implications are affecting the show. They have this insecurity around the original, and then with the Jenny stuff, I feel like they just won't mention Jenny or anything at all because of what happened whenever they did what they did in season 1 and ended Jenny's story that way. Again, I really like this. I think it was really well done, and huge, massive props to Daniel C for coming back to the show, because one, like, Max's character was treated unfairly on the original show, and also I have seen and read lots of stuff about the actor and how they felt, that as well, from not only just how their character was portrayed, but also you have to remember, like, when Max was on the original show, like, sure, in the beginning he was with Jenny and Shane, but there was this whole like branch of across 2 seasons really where Max wasn't with everybody, wasn't with the gang. Like, he was working in that computer company and was just with all these straight people that had no other context to the show. I'm sure they were just like, get little guest stars and stuff. So there wasn't even like a group of people that Max was with and could feel like, bonded with, because there's a lot of characters on this show that don't interact at all. Bette and Finley don't really interact, sometimes in passing or like with the poker thing, but in general, a lot of people are kept separate. But it wasn't as if there was like the Generation Q people and the L Word people in the original show. Like Max was very much ostracized. So I really give props to Daniel C for coming back. And I don't think that they would have come back unless it was in the right way like this. But Max was certainly not the last OG that we're going to see this season. The next one pops up in episode 6. So leave your guesses down below who you think that's going to be. So next up, I'm going to talk about Dani. I did appreciate that they mentioned Gigi, because usually the sort of L Word go-to response when people break up or anything, or someone leaves the show, is that they all get amnesia and like they forget the person ever existed. I do think it's kind of, you're in a difficult position because you should be mentioning her, because obviously it's going to affect Dani, but it's then obviously drawing even more attention to the fact that like you fucked Dani and Gigi up and Gigi's not on the show. But I mean, people are going to notice anyway. So yeah, they're kind of in a rock and a hard place here. But the whole Roxy character, I have talked about this on a live. I can't remember whether I mentioned it in a video though. But this character was actually supposed to be played by Demi Lovato. And that song at the end where they're dancing, that was actually supposed to be the Spice Girls Wannabe. And when Demi was attached to the role, they actually were like, oh, we're going to have them sing it, because it was this, the notes that I saw anyway, were all talking about whether they needed to get Demi to like sign a release because she was going to sing. I guess whenever Demi wasn't attached anymore, they didn't get the Spice Girls song. Probably was a money thing, because I'm sure the Spice Girls song was a lot more costly, because those songs to play on TV shows, the cost is insane. They can be like $100,000 or more. So maybe they were like, oh, it's not really worth it if Demi's not doing the role. I don't know what happens, like whether there was some sort of scheduling conflict or something, but I'm guessing it must have been like a very last minute decision that she wasn't going to be on the show, because again, like I still saw notes that had her referenced, but also they would have gone with another stunt casting, I think anyway, but because it was so last minute, they probably couldn't. So that's why they just had like a unknown actor like play the role. I think we'll see this character come back, because I saw an interview with them where they talked about meeting Jennifer Beals, but that could be that when they were doing like early prep or like a table read or something for that episode, like Jennifer was finishing episode 2. They do normally film 2 episodes at the same time, but if they did the table read, they will have done the table read when they were doing episodes 2 and 3. So she could turn up again. That's what I think they were trying to set up, but we'll have to wait and see. So next up, Finley and Sophie. I don't have too much to say here because I just don't really care about Finley, and I think that they're going to be over soon anyway. I've beat the drum consistently that I think that no one that was together in season 2 will be together in season 3, and we're really knocking through that list. Shane and Tess domino fell in this episode, so I think Finley is probably next. The next people are Micah and Maribel, and I have even less to say about them because I do not care one bit. I hate baby storylines. I hate kid storylines. I think that shows do that when they don't know what to do with the characters. It's like when a sitcom's in like season 6 or 7, they're like, oh, someone can have a baby. I mean, even when Bette and Tina were doing the baby thing, like, oh, I love them to death, but it was a slog for me. So not interested. I like the Max scenes, but yeah, it was because I wanted to know about Max. I wanted to know like what happened to Max's kid and all that. It's not because I in any way cared about like what was going on. Angie, another one that I'm like, what are we doing? I don't like the professor storyline. I think it's kind of weird and like I just don't like it. I loved Angie's Halloween outfit. I think that was a nice little nod to Pam Grier, but yeah, I don't like the professor storyline. No, thank you. Speaking of things I don't like, Shane in this episode Like, this just could have been plucked from the original. I think that they had Kehlani on the show and they wanted to like have Kehlani and Shane together, but I knew this was coming. I think everybody knew this was coming because the trailers have literally just told us what's happening, and we knew it was the Halloween outfit from the background. We knew the water scene was coming, and we also knew this was Kehlani's last episode, so it made sense that this was all going to happen in this episode. I just think, like, what are we doing? The Shane and Max scene, like I said, I liked it. I would have liked a little bit more. I do think it was a good scene. I think it was warranted, and it just was a bit silly that like Max is literally saying, are you still being Shane? While Shane is physically on her way to cheat. And she's like, no. So yeah, I would have actually loved when like Tess threw the water if they like cut to Max's face as a reaction and Max was just like, yep, Shane being Shane. So the Tess stuff as well in this episode, I could not care, not interested. It's just, to me, like, why are we doing this on the L Word? I understand that there's people that will connect with this, like if they have something similar, but I just, why are we doing this on the L Word? I also think that the Tess mum storyline, it kind of was like an epiphany when I thought of this today, that I think one of my main grievances with the show is that they do not do appropriate research. And I can apply this to pretty much every context that I complain about, whether it's the timeline, the stuff with the original show, like context, anything, because even if you apply it like to the research, they should have had someone do, or if you're working on a reboot or a sequel or whatever you want to call this, you need to have someone on staff, whether it's your script supervisor or it's a writer or anyone, that they know that original material like the back of their fucking hand, because your fan base is already built in. They're already people who've watched the show for fucking 20 years. Those little things constantly, like, I know we joke about some stuff, but like that constant, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, this happened in the original. And I know maybe it's sometimes nitpicky and stuff, but that constant, like, just annoys people. And that's why it gets to the point that people are so frustrated and annoyed at what's going on with like some of the original stuff, because they feel like you're not acknowledging or like, I know that sounds like really intense for a TV show, but it's like, we have this one amazing groundbreaking show and it's like you want to piss all over it. And I know that sounds probably like overblown and nitpicky, but it just really frustrates me. And that is like the research thing. But it's the same thing with like the storyline with Tess's mom. I just think that they've like Googled like what happens when someone has dementia, and they've just like pulled like the top 3 things or something. And it's the same with timelines. Like, they have someone so vaguely doing it that it's just really frustrating. So I tried to start with what I liked, Max, and I'm trying to end with what I like, which was Alice. I really liked Alice's storyline. I like her and Taylor. I mean, Leisha Haley she's your star, baby. You need to not have these huge gaps in the episode where is she? Like, all I was thinking in that first, I think there's like, they show Alice and Taylor right at the beginning, and then it's like 20 minutes and then we don't see them again till then. I just want more Alice. I think that, naturally, like, I think that she's the person that I just want to see more of. And even if it is, just her and Taylor or whatever, I just want more Alice. There's just something about Leisha Haley, like, she's just so funny. Even when they were having like that, reaction about the scary noise and stuff, she's brilliant. And I do think that they have good chemistry, and it's just nice to see Alice happy and stuff. And yeah, I thought the talking about like Alice always looking perfect is appropriate, because she always does look perfect. But yeah, love more Alice. I think that she's not being utilized to the full extent. One other thing that I wanted to mention that I've seen a lot of people talking about, and some people have asked me about it, it's kind of in the Alice category, is that a lot of people keep asking about the moving of the names in the credits. That will never happen. Like, Jennifer Beals, she's the star, baby. She's the lead. She's not going anywhere from that front of the credits starring Jennifer Beals. That won't change unless she leaves the show. That's the only time you're going to see that name move, unless you're making a statement like you're taking your name off the executive producer. But in that interview, Jennifer said, I can't remember the exact words, but it was like talking about she was moving and Leisha became number one. She's talking about the call sheet. So when you work like on a set or on a show, they have a call sheet of everybody who's on, and normally they're alphabetical, or if you have a big star like that, but Beals, Haley, because in the credits, Kate is above Leisha. It after Jennifer, it goes Kate. And normally, like I said, they do this call sheet alphabetically. So that's what she's referring to. She's saying Leisha's number one on the call sheet now. So did I love the episode? I mean, I think the answer is obvious. There were things that I liked, but I just felt sad today watching the episode, because that excitement that I usually have, and when the episode's airing, I'm like thinking about what I'm going to say in my video and stuff. And today I was really struggling, because I don't want to come on here and just like bitch and like absolutely destroy the show, because I would never do that about anything. Like I just, that's not like who I am. And I'm also not going to come on here and be fake and say like, oh, I loved everything, because that's not real. And I'm not also going to do that because that's not my opinion. Like, I don't work for Showtime. I'm not sponsored by Showtime. I don't have any obligation to even do this. And that's the thing. Like, do I want to continue doing this? Because the whole like passion and love I have to spend all this time doing this is because I feel that way about the show. And I don't know whether I feel that way about the show without these key missing pieces that we're missing today. I mean, obviously, like I'll be covering 9 and 10. I probably will, just because I am one of those people that I have to finish something I start, so things may get shortened. Honestly, I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but I just was incredibly disappointed today, and it just makes me sad. Like, there's no other way around it. So I'd love to know your guys' opinions, like what you think, like how you feel about the episode, what you think is going to happen going forward. And who knows, like maybe everybody keeps telling me episode 6, that's what everyone said on set. So who knows, episode 6 could turn it all around. So let me know down below. Make sure you're subscribed and follow me over on social media. I have a merch store, Patreon, everything you could possibly want. Links are down below. And as always, make sure to stay safe, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.